My name is Thomas Harrison. I'm 67 years old, and I live in a house in Vancouver that my late wife Catherine and I bought in 1985. Last Christmas, my daughter's husband threw a ceramic coffee mug at my face, splitting my forehead open. As blood ran into my eyes, my daughter Sarah screamed at me, "You're being selfish, Dad. You're being cruel." I just stood there, grabbed my car keys, and drove myself to Vancouver General Hospital. While waiting for stitches, I texted my lawyer Margaret. Phase 1 complete. Proceed with Phase 2. What they didn't know was that I'd been recording them for 8 months, and everything they'd done that night was captured in 4 Kelvin's video with crystal clear audio. Before I tell you how I set this trap, let me know in the comments where you're watching from, and please like and subscribe if you believe that trust, once broken, can never truly be repaired. The trap actually began last April. I was sitting in my home office, the one that overlooks the garden Catherine planted 30 years ago. My phone rang. Sarah's name flashed on the screen. I put it on speaker and continued reviewing the quarterly statements from my investment accounts, the ones my family knew nothing about. "Dad? Hey, it's me." Her voice had that particular tone, the one she used when she wanted something. I'd heard it 100 times over the years. "Sarah, what a pleasant surprise. How are you? And Derek?" "We're good, Dad. Great, actually. Look, I know this is last minute, but we were thinking about Christmas this year. Derek's parents are going to be in Palm Springs, and I thought maybe we could do Christmas dinner at your place. You know, like we used to when Mom was alive." I stopped typing. When Mom was alive. That was 18 months ago. Sarah had visited exactly twice since the funeral. Both times, she'd spent more time photographing the house than talking to me. "That sounds wonderful, sweetheart. I'd love to host you both." "Perfect. And Dad, there's someone we want you to meet, Derek's business partner, Marcus. He's a financial advisor, and we thought maybe he could help you with, organizing things. At your age, it's important to have professional help managing everything. At my age, I was 67, not 97. I ran marathons until 3 years ago. I still consulted for 2 major accounting firms on fraud cases, but Sarah didn't know that. As far as she knew, I was just a retired accountant who puttered around in the garden. "That's very thoughtful of you both," I said, making my voice sound grateful and slightly confused. "I'm sure I could use some guidance." After she hung up, I sat in silence for a long moment. Then I called Margaret Chen, who'd been my lawyer for 25 years. "Maggie, they're coming for Christmas. They're bringing a financial advisor. Tom, are you absolutely certain you want to do this? We could shut them down right now. You have power of attorney documents. You have everything set up." "No. I need to see it with my own eyes, Maggie. I need to know for sure. You see, I'm not just a retired accountant. For 38 years, I was a forensic accountant for the RCMP's Financial Crimes Unit. I didn't just crunch numbers. I tracked money laundering operations. I dismantled Ponzi schemes. I testified in court against some of the most sophisticated white-collar criminals in Canadian history. I know how to spot a con, and I'd been watching my daughter and son-in-law for the past 8 months. Derek owed $180,000 to a loan shark in Richmond. I knew because I'd hired a private investigator. Sarah had been quietly selling items from my house on Facebook Marketplace, items Catherine had collected over our 42 years of marriage. A Tiffany lamp, a set of Royal Doulton china, her grandmother's silver tea service. And this financial advisor, Marcus? He'd lost his license 3 years ago for embezzling client funds. But here's what they didn't know. 2 months ago, I anonymously paid Derek's entire gambling debt, every penny. I wanted to see what they would do. Would Sarah come to me, honest and humble, asking for help? Would Derek confess his addiction and try to rebuild his life? They did neither. Instead, they accelerated their plan to take everything I had. I spent the next week preparing. I had 2 technicians install pinhole cameras in the living room, dining room, and my bedroom. Hidden microphones in every room. Everything streamed to a secure cloud server that Margaret monitored in real time. I also moved every asset I truly cared about into an irrevocable trust. The house, my investments, everything. All that remained in my name was this house, and a small checking account with $50,000. Bait. Christmas Day arrived, cold and gray, typical Vancouver winter weather. I spent the morning cooking Catherine's traditional turkey dinner, the one she'd perfected over 4 decades. At exactly 5 o'clock, I heard Derek's BMW pull into the driveway. I opened the door with my best confused old man smile. Sarah, Derek, Merry Christmas. Sarah kissed my cheek, but her eyes were already scanning the entryway. Merry Christmas, Dad. You remember Marcus, right? Derek's business partner? Marcus was in his 50s, wearing an expensive suit and an even more expensive watch. Mr. Harrison, such a pleasure. Derek's told me so much about you. I'm sure he had. I led them into the dining room, where the table was set with Catherine's good china. The camera in the corner chandelier had a perfect view of every seat. The microphone in the centerpiece would pick up every whisper. We sat down to eat. For the first 20 minutes, everything was pleasant. Small talk about the weather, about Sarah's work at the boutique hotel downtown. Then Derek cleared his throat. Tom, we wanted to talk to you about something important. Sarah and I, we've been worried about you. This house, it's so big for one person. All these stairs, the maintenance, the yard work. What if something happened and no one found you for days? Sarah reached across the table and put her hand on mine. Dad, we love you. We just want you to be safe. Marcus has been helping us understand your options. Options? That word again. I kept my face neutral, played along. What kind of options? Marcus pulled out a leather portfolio. Well, Mr. Harrison, at your age, it's crucial to think about long-term care. Have you considered assisted living? There are wonderful facilities in Vancouver. You'd have 24-hour support, meals prepared for you, activities. I'm 67, I said quietly. I'm not ready for a home. Of course not, Derek said, his voice smooth. Too smooth. That's not what we're suggesting, but we do think you should consider downsizing. This house, it must be worth what, 2 million? 2.5? Try 4 million. Vancouver real estate had exploded, but I just shrugged. I haven't had it appraised recently. Sarah squeezed my hand. Dad, here's what we're thinking. You sell the house, move into a nice 1-bedroom condo downtown. You'd be closer to amenities, closer to us, and Marcus can help you invest the proceeds. You'd have plenty of money for the rest of your life, and there'd be something left over to help Sarah and me. There it was, the real ask. Not help me, help themselves. I don't know, I said, making my voice shake slightly. This is Catherine's house. We raised Sarah here. Every room has memories. Derek's face hardened. Catherine's dead, Tom. She's been dead for 1.5 years. You can't live in a museum. The cruelty of it hit me like a physical blow. The camera caught it all. His words. Sarah's face, which didn't contradict him. Marcus nodding in agreement. I stood up slowly. I need a moment. I walked to the kitchen, pretending to get water. In reality, I was activating the second phase. I sent a text to Margaret. They've shown their hand. When I came back, they were whispering. The microphone picked it up perfectly. He's more stubborn than we thought, Marcus was saying. We need a new approach, Sarah said. Maybe we can get Dr. Brennan to evaluate him. Say he's showing signs of dementia. Dr. Brennan, Sarah's friend from university who'd barely passed medical school. Of course. I sat back down. I've been thinking about what you said. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is time to make some changes. Sarah's face lit up. Really, Dad? Oh, that's wonderful. Marcus brought the paperwork. We can get started right now. Marcus pulled out documents, power of attorney, healthcare directive, a listing agreement with a realtor. All the papers were filled out except for my signature. These are standard documents, Marcus said. They just give Sarah the ability to help you make decisions if you're unable to. It's what any responsible family does. I picked up the power of attorney document. I'd reviewed thousands of these in my career. This one was ironclad. Once I signed it, Sarah would have complete control over my finances, my property, my life. I'd like my lawyer to review these first, I said. Derek's hand slammed on the table. The sound echoed through the dining room. Your lawyer? What lawyer? Tom, this is family. We're trying to help you, and you're treating us like criminals. I just think... You're not thinking clearly, Sarah interrupted. Her voice had changed. The sweet, concerned daughter was gone. This was someone else. Someone cold. Dad, you're showing signs. You forget things. You're confused. We've noticed it for months. I'm not confused. You are, she shouted. You're being selfish, Dad. You're being cruel. We're trying to help you, and you're making this so difficult. I looked at my daughter, 40 years old. I'd held her minutes after she was born. I'd taught her to ride a bike, helped her with homework, walked her down the aisle at her wedding. Now she was screaming at me in my own home, trying to steal my life's work. I'm not signing anything tonight, I said firmly. If you want me to consider this, I need time. Derek stood up so fast his chair fell backwards. Time? Time for what? Time for your lawyer to poison you against your own family? Time to change everything so we get nothing? Derek, please, Sarah started. No. He grabbed his coffee mug, the one Catherine had bought at a craft fair in Whistler. I'm done playing nice with this selfish old man. He threw it. Hard, aimed right at my face. I could have moved. I saw it coming. But I needed this. I needed irrefutable proof. I stood perfectly still as the heavy ceramic mug struck my forehead just above my right eye. The sound was sickening, a dull crack. The mug shattered. Hot coffee splashed across my face. And then came the blood. So much blood. Head wounds bleed profusely. I knew that, but the shock on their faces told me they hadn't expected it. Sarah gasped. Marcus actually stood up and backed away. Derek just stood there, his arm still extended, his face white. I didn't cry out. I didn't fall. I just reached up and touched the wound. My hand came away red. Blood was running down into my eye, down my cheek, dripping onto Catherine's white tablecloth. Dad Sarah's voice was small, terrified. I looked at her, then at Derek, then at Marcus. Thank you, I said quietly. You've just made this very simple. I walked calmly to the entryway, picked up my car keys, put on my coat over my blood-stained shirt. Where are you going? Sarah's voice was rising to hysteria. Dad, wait, we can explain. I'm going to the hospital, I said. I'll need medical documentation. And then I'll be calling the police. You can't, Derek shouted. It was an accident. You provoked me. I opened the front door. The cold December air felt good on my bleeding face. The cameras in this dining room don't lie, Derek. They've recorded everything. Every word you said, every threat you made. And they've been recording for 8 months. All of it. The times you came here when I was out and went through my files. The conversations about getting me declared incompetent. Sarah selling Catherine's belongings. All of it. The color drained from Sarah's face. Cameras? What cameras? I pointed to the chandelier, to the bookshelf, to the smoke detector. Everywhere. This whole house is wired. My lawyer has been monitoring everything in real time. So please, by all means, call your Dr. Brennan. Call anyone you want. The evidence speaks for itself. I walked out, got in my car, and drove away. In my rearview mirror, I saw them standing in the doorway, frozen. The emergency department at Vancouver General was busy on Christmas night. I waited 2 hours with a towel pressed against my head. I didn't call Sarah. I didn't call anyone except Margaret, who met me there. Tom, she said when she saw me. My God. It's worse than it looks, I said. Then I smiled. Actually, no. It's exactly as bad as it looks. And it's perfect. The doctor who treated me was young, efficient. Mr. Harrison, this is a significant laceration. You're going to need 8 stitches. How did this happen? My son-in-law threw a coffee mug at my face during an argument. The doctor's hand stopped moving. He assaulted you? Yes. Have you called the police? Not yet. I wanted medical documentation first. She nodded slowly. She understood. I'll make sure everything is thoroughly documented. Photos, measurements, my professional assessment. This will be a complete medical record. For the next hour, they photographed the wound from every angle. They measured it. They documented the coffee stains on my shirt, the pattern of blood spatter. When they were done, I had a comprehensive medical report that no lawyer could dispute. Margaret and I left the hospital at 11 p.m. Come to my place, she said. You're not going back there tonight. Actually, I have a better idea. We drove to the Fairmont Hotel downtown. I'd booked a suite earlier in the week, just in case. Margaret came up with me. We sat in the elegant living room, and she opened her laptop. "The live stream is still active," she said. "Do you want to see?" I did. On the screen, split into multiple camera views, I could see my house. Sarah and Derek were in the living room. Marcus had fled, probably terrified of being implicated. They were arguing, their voices captured clearly by the hidden microphones. "He said 8 months," Sarah was screaming. "He's been recording us for 8 months. The things we said, Derek, the plans we made." "We'll say he's crazy," Derek said, but his voice shook. "We'll say he's paranoid, that he imagined it all." "With video evidence? With medical records showing you assaulted him? Are you insane?" "He provoked me. You threw a mug at his head." They argued for another 20 minutes. Then Sarah did something I didn't expect. She started crying. Real tears, not the manipulative ones I'd seen so often. "What have we done?" she whispered. "That's my father. I let you hurt my father." Derek's response was cold. He brought this on himself. If he'd just signed the papers, none of this would have happened. I turned off the screen. I'd seen enough. "Tom," Margaret said gently, "there's still time to stop this. You could drop the charges. You could talk to Sarah." "No," I said. "Do you know what I did 2 months ago, Maggie?" "What?" "I paid Derek's gambling debt, all $180,000, anonymously. I wanted to see what they would do. Would they come to me, honest and humble? Would Derek get help? Would Sarah be grateful for the reprieve?" Margaret's eyes widened. "They didn't know?" "No. And instead of taking that clean slate and building something better, they accelerated their plan to rob me. That's not desperation, Maggie. That's greed. That's malice. And I won't reward it." The next morning, I met with Inspector Davies from the Vancouver Police Department. I brought everything: the medical report, the video footage, the audio recordings, 8 months of documented evidence of conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted exploitation of an elderly person, and now assault causing bodily harm. Davies watched the video of Derek throwing the mug, watched me standing there, blood running down my face, watched Sarah screaming that I was selfish. He looked at me with something like awe. "Mr. Harrison, you let him hit you." "I needed irrefutable evidence, Inspector. Without it, this would be he said, she said. Now it's documented fact. This is one of the most comprehensive evidence packages I've ever seen. I was a forensic accountant for 38 years, Inspector. I know how to build a case. They arrested Derek and Sarah on Boxing Day. I wasn't there. I'd checked into a different hotel under an assumed name, but Margaret called me with updates. Derek was charged with assault, causing bodily harm, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Sarah was charged with conspiracy, attempted theft, and fraud. Marcus, the fake financial advisor, was arrested separately for operating without a license. The bail hearing was brief. The Crown opposed bail, citing flight risk and the severity of the charges. The judge agreed. They'd stay in custody until trial. I finally went home 3 days later. The house was exactly as I'd left it. The dining room table still had the blood-stained tablecloth. The broken coffee mug was still on the floor. I cleaned it all up myself, every trace of that night. When I was done, I sat in Catherine's favorite chair and cried for the first time since her funeral. I wasn't crying for what I'd lost. I was crying for what Sarah had thrown away. The trust, the love, the family we could have been. She'd traded it all for money she would never see. The trial was 4 months later. I sat in the gallery, watching. Sarah looked thin, worn. Prison had aged her. Derek looked worse. Angry, defensive, unrepentant. The Crown prosecutor was merciless. She played the videos. All of them. 8 months of Sarah and Derek planning, scheming, discussing how to get me declared incompetent. The Christmas dinner footage was played 3 times. Once at regular speed. Once in slow motion. Once with enhanced audio to catch every word. "You're being selfish, Dad. You're being cruel." Then Derek throwing the mug. Me standing there. The blood. Sarah's scream. My calm words. "Thank you. You've just made this very simple." The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. The sentencing was 2 weeks later. I testified then, not about the crime, but about impact. Your Honor, I said, standing in front of the judge, my wife Catherine and I built a life together over 42 years. We raised our daughter in that house. We were so proud of her. When Catherine died, Sarah was the only family I had left. I would have given her anything. All she had to do was ask, honestly, with respect. I paused, looking at Sarah. She was crying silently. Instead, she chose to lie, to steal, to conspire with her husband and a con artist, to take everything I'd worked for. My son-in-law threw a ceramic mug at my face hard enough to split my forehead to the bone. I'm 67 years old. That could have killed me. And all of it, was because I wouldn't sign away my autonomy, my dignity, my life. The judge was an older woman, maybe in her 60s. She looked at Sarah with something like pity, then at Derek with contempt. Mr. Novak, she said to Derek, you assaulted a 7-year-old man, a man who had shown you nothing but kindness, who had welcomed you into his family. You did it because he wouldn't surrender his life's work to your greed. 7 years. Derek's head dropped. Miss Harrison, the judge continued, looking at Sarah, you betrayed your own father. You conspired to rob him, to have him declared incompetent, to steal his home. The only home you grew up in, the home your mother loved, 4 years. Sarah was sobbing now, her shoulders shaking. She looked at me once, her eyes pleading. I looked away. Marcus got 3 years for fraud. Lighter sentence because he'd cooperated with the investigation. I sold the house 6 months later. I couldn't stay there anymore. Too many ghosts. Not just Catherine, but the ghost of the daughter I thought I had. I bought a small condo in Kitsilano, walking distance from the ocean. I swim every morning now. I volunteer at a seniors advocacy organization, helping other elderly people protect themselves from financial exploitation. Sarah writes to me sometimes from prison. Long letters, full of apologies and regret. I read them, I haven't responded. I don't know if I ever will. Some betrayals cut too deep. Some trust, once shattered, can never be made whole. But here's what I learned. Kindness isn't weakness. Setting boundaries isn't cruel. And protecting yourself from people who would harm you, even if they're family, isn't selfish. It's survival. It's dignity. It's knowing your worth. I'm 67 years old. I survived a career tracking criminals. I survived losing Catherine. I survived my own daughter's betrayal. And I'm still here, still standing, still whole. That's not nothing. That's everything. If you've experienced something similar, or if you know an elderly person being exploited by their family, please reach out to local authorities. There are resources. There is help. You don't have to face it alone. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments where you're from and what you think. Remember, trust is sacred. Once broken, it changes everything.